So, a gracious good afternoon from Australia on Monday, the 3rd of February, which would be Sunday, the 2nd in the US. The time is just on 3 o'clock, and what a mess the world's in. We've got a situation where the tariffs have been introduced by Trump. I won't call him president because I don't believe he is. And this is for entertainment purposes, and mainly from my perspective, it's for spiritual purposes, but it's also for entertainment purposes. The world, this morning when I woke up, the world's talking about retaliation. We're talking about Canada and Mexico retaliating back against the US. Yet the US is the core and the heart of the world. We've signed our lives away. All nations in the world have signed our lives away to the US, primarily because there were agreements after the Second World War, and I've met my spirit friends, and I've mentioned this before, and those agreements are primarily we must support, honour and abide by America's interest. Whatever America's businesses, super corporations in particular, want, we have to give it to them. Now, where the concern is here, and the reason why I woke up with a shock this morning, an absolute total shock, is what happens if Elon Musk contacts all countries in the world where he is in control of the internet. Directly and indirectly, he controls the internet. Yes, he's got his own TV network and communications network. But every time someone on that network contacts another person that's not on the network, for example, I've got friends that have got Starlink, and when they contact me through here, or because I use it for messages, we are working through his network. And his network has complete knowledge of everything and everybody. There isn't a person in the world, unless they've deliberately and willfully stayed away from his network, which means they're not talking through his network, to the best of my knowledge. He has your details. He has everything. And if he chooses now to cut down his network and to say, well, I don't want you, who and what can stop him? Nobody. So you've got a person who is not, from what I'm being told, he's not even an American citizen. He got there by illegal means. Entertainment purposes only, again. So we are sitting in a situation where we've got a dictator, basically, in America, who was, in the eyes of the majority of those who know the legal aspects of the American election, it wasn't legal. Entertainment purposes again. Everything that's happened since that time has been done in a way that is not in the best interest of America and absolutely not in the best interest of the world. Now, I'm 15 minutes in. Because I got this from Spirit, initially, and shocked the bejesus out of me, I've asked them if they wouldn't mind addressing, if they can, as much as they can, on the subject. So, without further ado, I'll pull that back a little bit. To my wonderful friends in Spirit, I always put my hands out. In with the left, out with the right, they say. That's how a thief does it. Sorry, guys. Righto. Hi, guys. Hi, Pete. Yeah, I know you're there. You've been there all day with me. What would you like to say to this? Well, in many of our blogs, your blogs, our blogs, and quite a few of these vlogs, we said that the world's complacency is the major problem. For too long, the world's people have been blindly following one nation's ideology and one nation's greed and one nation's power broking. Now it's at a point where there is no enemies to that one power. And that one power is controlled by basically a small handful under the guise of one individual who the Americans are calling their president. We've gone still for a particular reason. Please bear with us. This is a very, very difficult subject for us. We have said in many of the blogs, no, you won't have a world war. A lot of people are talking about a world war. And we've said no, there'll be world skirmishes. But if there's no retaliation possible against America, then there can't be a war. Will the world outside of America team up with China or Russia to fight America? This is the problem with the brainwashing the world has been given, that China is an enemy and it's going to be taking over the world, and I suppose given the opportunity it would, but that's not its aim. Its aim has been to give an alternative ideology and point of view. So with the world now disintegrating and falling apart, same thing, then if we go to China, are they going to say, oh yes, we'll back you? No. They're going to say, no, that's not our ideology. That's America's ideology. We tried to tell you that. The ideology of China is we look after our own and we trade with those such as yourselves, wherever you are in the world. But you are not Chinese and we are not Europeans. They're quite happy to exist in their existence. So will China stand behind other nations to back up against... I don't like his name and I don't like his official position. But yeah, Trump. You see, this is where the world's at the moment. It is in such an absolute mess. And it's happened that way, not just because bad men and bad guys got in behind the Republican Party. There are bad people in the Democrats. And we can say this, but you'd better protect yourself, Pete, for entertainment purposes only. There are people in the Democrats that are being blackmailed. And they're being blackmailed because they sold their soul to this ideology, even though they were in the Democratic Party. And that's one of the reasons why the Democrats are in a quandary. How do we stand up to this when we can't get our own members to support us? They don't know, or some do, but they don't know that there is a blackmail situation going on. We do. Entertainment purposes only. We'll probably be saying it 30, 40 times through this, because we are telling you something that is a fright, beyond fright. Now, we've been saying to you through Pete's blogs for a very long time, tune into us. Remember that? Ad nauseum. Tune into us in your quiet time. Not thoughts and prayers. Oh, I heard about the plane accident. Oh, thoughts and prayers. You've got to stop that. Thoughts and prayers. What you need to do when something of that massive incident that occurred is you say to people, I am with them in spirit. I've gone into my holiness, to my love, to my what I believe is right, pure, true, and good. And I have connected with them in my thoughts. And I've felt them as if they were my family. And I've been inside saying to them, I'm so sorry this happened to you. Is there any way that I can help? I'm here. As you would with a living person. Oh, instead of the thoughts and prayers. Thoughts and prayers is a cop-out. You know, oh, do you hear about... Oh, yes, I gave him my thoughts and prayers. Now, what are we doing tonight? Oh, I've got to go out for a... No. We've got to put some effort in. The human world has got to put some effort in and become at one with truth. Not these mumbo-jumbo ideas of, oh, I went to church on Sunday and prayed for the dead. Well, that's good, that's nice, but you could have done that at home and saved yourself all that money travelling. We've got to get... The world's got to get back to here. Now, why are we saying that? Because any other way to beat Trump is a waste of time. We're serious. We're talking in the first person and third person because we are speaking through a first person, but we are one. Pete said to you over and over again, and he says to us, as we say to him, we are a one unit. And so therefore we are I. I am the I am. Not Pete, but we as a combination. So, the world is on the brink of an invasion. Not an invasion taking over the country. Those days have gone. This is the Aquarian age coming in. The taking over of control from a distant place. Telecommunication, phones, mobile phones, computers. This, I think it was a blog before, or the one before, a vlog, or vlog before this. We were saying to you all, you're communicating, we to you, through a device that's American. The internet is controlled by America. World Wide Web, supposed to be of the world, but it's not. It's owned by Americans. These computers are all owned by Americans. The system is owned by America. The phone call, we've already gone through that with the phone calls. And the systems are all American. You can't go into a shop and say, oh, listen, I'd like to be able to buy an Australian communication network system. This here, at the moment, we're communing through here. If Elon Musk, and he plans it, we can tell you now he plans it. If Elon Musk has his way, everyone on this network will have to abide by a rule and system that will basically wipe us psychics and card readers and even persons of opinions like the Midas Touch Network. Keep away from that one. But that whole network of the moderates to the left, if they want to commune, they won't be able to unless they go through certain guidelines. Even here, we have to say for entertainment purposes only. It's nothing compared to what Musk's mob, and it's more than just him, and he is sitting there at the moment and has been since the election basically, working all this out, setting it all up, getting it organised, so that when the bomb drops, there'll be nothing that anyone can do about it. Nobody. We can. Yes, we can. In here. But how far away from where you are now to where that can happen? God Almighty, half the world out there still thinks that Jesus Christ is coming on a cloud. You know, and going to come down and save everybody and lift everybody up somehow into the... And people hanging around everywhere waiting for the spaceship or the space guys coming down, and it's got... That has got nothing to do with saving humanity or the world. That's a totally different structure. It's something else again. And it won't trigger until a greater percentage of people within the world, in human beings, are interacting within. Our Father, which, who, what, are in heaven. Where's heaven? How many people say that prayer without a clue about what they're saying? This is what we want you to do. This. You go quietly in your quiet place somewhere, wherever that is. Out in nature has got to be the best, because they're teachers. Birds, trees, environment around you, not the human stuff around you, the nature. And you sit there just quietly and you say in your mind, okay, what the am I going to do here? Not quite with a... I never use the F word, it's always PH. You sit there and you just look around. At the moment, the wind's blowing through it. Moreton Bay ash out here, beautiful big tree. And you say, well, okay, what would you say to me? If you were, whoever you are, a creator, God, what would you say to me? Now, we've gone through this so often with other blogs, and most of the time people have got to get past those first steps of, yeah, but I don't know who I'm praying to. I don't know. I could be talking to some nasty thing. There's so much there. If only you could sit down a couple of times and read the New Testament. Not the old crap of the Jews that was before. Not that's against the Jews. But that was only in the Bible because Jesus made reference to it. Forget it. Go to the new stuff. The New Testament. Jesus. What would Jesus say right now? Well, basically, if you went to the power of goodness, God or whatever, and you asked for information or help for you to channel through to the kindness, would you get evil? He said that. If you go to the Father and you ask for a fish, or the Son asks for a fish, would you get a rock? That's what he's talking about. If you go in and your wish, your thought, even if you may have been the worst sinner of all humankind, but you still went in and in your mind, sitting out there in the park or in the bush, and you were to say, what do you want of me? What would you say to me? How would you correct my life? What would be the best way to go from this point forward? Now, the mistake we make is we're waiting. You get the old ear trumpet and wait for, I'm waiting to talk. I'm waiting for that guy in the cloud to come down and... No such thing. You've put in your request. You've put in what you're wanting to say. And then you thank the power of goodness, and you go away. But you leave your mind slightly open as you go to whatever it was you asked. And you look around just to see if there's a clue. Now, we will pretty much guarantee you nothing will happen if it's your first time, because you've got to build the tower. Remember what we were talking about, the radio? If you don't, go and have a look at the other vlogs, for goodness sake. But you were all receivers, and we are senders, receivers. You're both. It's a two-way radio system. And Elon Musk doesn't own this one yet, although he's working at it. We're not going to be here for very long. At least we say that every time, and then, of course, a second wave comes in of information. But at the moment, we're aiming at about 20, 25 minutes. But at this time, the time that we're in, that the world is in right now, this is not an ending. This is a beginning. Now, we've told you through Pete and through another psychic, the Midas Touch Network, and there have been others beside her, that we've said that look out for March and April. Now, we can't tell you any more than that, and we, at the level we are at, the communicating level, are only receiving what the next level down can give us. And yes, everything's in layers. Some people call us angels, and there's the archangels, and then there's the, seraphim and from. They're all names that were used in the time of the Old Testament. Basically, it's like networking. It's a series of networks where those of like-mindedness, the ones around here, are like-minded with Pete, and we're of the spiritual level. And then there are those slightly out to the other side there that are sort of saying, well, we're not sort of over with that mob much, but we are with Pete's friends over here. So we're all passing information across and through in the ethers, in the spiritual sense of it all. And up here, it is the spiritual collective consciousness, while you're down there with the human collective consciousness. And there is interaction. But the problem is human beings have completely annihilated their interest or support or knowledge of the spiritual collective. We're not getting through. We've said that in so many of our blogs and vlogs, through and to Pete. So what you've got to do, please, is start now, right now, when you finish watching this, and just go out, grab yourself a cup of coffee. The old 3-5 meditation's ideal. You get yourself, and if you don't know what that's all about, I've got all of this written in blogs, and Pete's speaking now, 200 and something bloody blog. How many of you read them? I can't get it out there because I can't afford it. I'm an old fella now. I'm 2 years off 80, and if you're not wanting to know, then this lot up here, me speaking now again, I'm not going to be able to get through to you. But once you start saying, I want to hear some of this stuff, and you start looking for it, the door opens up. I think you ought to take over, Pete. You do a better job than us. Yep. That's funny because we're combined. All right, now I think we've covered most of this. I'm sure as I'll go off air, as I always do, and I think, I meant to bring that one up. But I think we've covered it all. I think the main primary factor, we, is that Donald Trump is not by any means finished yet. The trade agreements that are being bandied around and played around with, he's not finished with that at all. I mean, unless he's a complete fool, and he's not, then why would he have set up something that's going to destroy his people and his country by making it so expensive that people can't live? Unless he has an idea or an ideal that will force the rest of the world to come into that ideology. He's got the power as the king of that country because he's wiping out everything. He hasn't got any opposition, does he? Who's standing up now and really opposing big time and saying, you do that, you're gone? No, they're all saber-rattling. They're getting on Newsweek or CNN or whatever, and they're getting up there and saying, if he does that, but he's doing it, and they're not. It's the people who've got to get up, and the people aren't going to get up because half of them believe him, because he's been so convincing. Do you remember that guy back in Germany in 1930? He started off with a book he wrote in prison called Mein Kampf. My sorrow, my sadness, or my whatever it was. And it was a blueprint of what he was going to do. And it sounded good. The German people were all behind it. There were people in the world, including within the royal family of that time, members of the royal family of that time in England, thought it was a top idea, went all for it. His downfall was He couldn't get the Jews out of his country because the rest of the world wouldn't take them. And then he killed them in the Holocaust. Had he not done that, who knows where Hitler would be today? That was his downfall. If Trump doesn't do that, then isn't he Hitler Mark II? Isn't that the new Reich? Probably the fourth Reich, probably the third, I'm not sure. We need to wake up. And how many of you who might be watching this are about to say, oh yeah, well, I don't know about all that. I bet you don't even know. I do. I was born 2 years after the Second World War. And I do know from family that came back from the war with stories that couldn't be told in the media. You see, there's another side. The media wouldn't or couldn't print a lot of stuff because there was all sorts of laws and rules. They were taking people off to The Hague, except, of course, von Braun, who was stolen by the Americans. Yeah, stolen from court. He shouldn't be. He should have been dead with all the others. Americans stole him because it was in America's best interest. That's how dangerous this is. America's interest now dictates and controls the world, as it did back then. Now, it was helpful, of course, because it got America ahead of Russia to wherever, the moon. But do we want to continue to live in a world like that? Does the Creator want it to be that way? America is self-destructing. Even if it wins all this, it's self-destructing, and there will be no America. And we've already told you that in the other vlogs and blogs. We're getting on time here, aren't we? We told you that you'll be ripping up your constitution and restarting because the system you've used to this point was good for back then, but it's no good for the future. I don't know who's been heated the most here, both sides, I think. A huge thank you, my friends, as always, for the information you pass on. And for you poor unfortunates who stumbled into this site, sorry. I really appreciate you being here. And also, please, would you mind letting me know if you've got objections? I'm not one of these people who say, oh, don't go sending nasty stuff to me. Send it to me by all means. I want to be able to see what you think. And also, if you want any questions, I'm more than happy to answer questions. There's one guy, Mike, I can't think of your second name, Mike, sent me something and I didn't get it. I got it sometime later and I've sent a reply since then. Humble apologies. Maybe because I'm stirring the pot and the YouTube doesn't like certain things or whatever. But yeah, please contact me. I'll be more than happy to answer you. Okay. Be at peace with the power that's within yourself and don't worry about anything else. Remember, peace is within. Nurture it. Bring it to the fore. Peace be with you. Thank you.